If my child would just stop moving, they'd give themselves a chance to finally calm down. Ever thought that to yourself? Maybe they're pacing around the kitchen, rocking on the couch, jumping on the trampoline, or bouncing in place while everyone else is sitting quietly. What's going on with that? Hi, I'm Diane Luzny. I help moms of autistic children who've already tried everything to improve their child's sleep. Together, we focus on practical, science-based solutions that don't rely on more medication, more expensive products, or adding stress to the family. In the last video, we talked about the idea that instead of asking, how do I stop this behavior, we start asking, what's going on inside my child's body right now and why? Basically, what problem is that behavior trying to solve? Today, we're going to use the same question to look at movement. Point 1. Movement is information. Think about yourself for a moment. Have you ever stood up and paced while talking on the phone? Walked around the house while trying to think? Rocked a baby without even realizing you were also rocking your body too? Most of us move more than we realize. The difference is that our movements usually fit what society expects, and we probably have less intensity in our movements. That's why I try not to ask, why is my child moving? Instead, I ask, what information is this movement giving me? Because different movements can tell us different things. A child who is slowly rocking may be trying to organize their nervous system. A child who is getting up and walking around may be trying to stay regulated while thinking. A child who suddenly starts running may have a nervous system that's becoming more overwhelmed than organized. The movement itself is not the answer, it's a clue. Point 2. Different movements do different jobs. One mistake is putting all movements into one category, as though rocking, spinning, pacing, and jumping were all doing the exact same thing in the body. But they're not. Think about the difference between sitting in a rocking chair and rocking, and riding a roller coaster. Both involve movement when you're seated, but they do not give your body the same experience at all. Some movements are slow, some are fast, some are predictable, some are constantly changing. Some children seem to settle beautifully with gentle rhythmic movement. Others need strong muscle work before they can slow down. Others become even more alert if the movement is too exciting. The movement isn't magic. It's whether the movement matches what your child's nervous system needs in that moment. There are nuances to movement. The type of movement can be a clue to what's happening in the body. Point 3. Connecting different movements with different needs. Think back to something we talked about in the last video. Your child's nervous system is constantly asking, am I safe? One of the ways it answers that question is through movement. Different movements send different kinds of information back to the brain. For example, slow, rhythmic movements like rocking or gentle swaying are very predictable. Predictability helps a busy nervous system organize itself. Also, when something is predictable, it's less likely to be dangerous. That's one reason some children naturally rock before falling asleep. Their body may have discovered that rhythm helps it settle. Movements that involve pushing, climbing, carrying something heavy, those are different. They provide strong input to the muscle and joints through the proprioceptive system. Many children describe feeling more grounded afterwards, as though their body has a clearer idea of where it is in space. Imagine how frightening a sense of floating or physical unknowing would be. Then there's fast, energetic movements like running, jumping, spinning. Earlier in the day, these can be wonderful because they allow children to explore movement, develop coordination, and burn energy. But if a child is already highly alert, adding more fast movement late in the evening may make it harder for some nervous systems to switch into a quieter state. Movement serves a purpose. You can use the information to understand what's happening in your child's body and to add movement to prepare or guide your child. In other words, ask, what is this movement doing to my child's nervous system right now? Or what movement should they do right now to help them in the immediate future? Once you understand that, movement stops feeling random. It starts becoming information that you can actually use. What you can do. I'm going to share 3 categories of movements and what they mean. There are other categories, but it would make this video too long. Look in the description for a link where they will all be listed. 1. Large movement. Completing the cycle. Running, jumping, spinning, and roughhousing usually increase arousal while they're happening. For some children, that's exactly what is needed. Their nervous system seems to need to finish that phase before it's ready to organize and settle. They turn the nervous system up, not down, which is why they seem like the last thing you'd want before bed. But here's the part that changes how you might see it. Sometimes a nervous system that's stuck at high activation can't find its way down without first going up and completing the cycle. Like a wave that has to crest before it can break. The problem isn't the big movement. The problem is when the big movement happens without a transition into something slower afterwards. Big movement that leads nowhere just keeps the system running. Big movement that transitions into something rhythmic or heavy can actually be the beginning of settling, not an obstacle to it. Number 2, heavy muscle use, regulating. When your child pushes or pulls or carries or climbs or does whatever that works their large muscle hard against some resistance, their joints and muscles send a very specific signal to the brain. That signal helps the nervous system recalibrate, find a more balanced level of activation. This is why heavy muscle use is unusual among the nervous system tools. It works in both directions. If your child is too wound up, it brings them down. If they're too sluggish and checked out, it brings them up. The body uses the effort to find its own level. This is different from running because the muscles are working against resistance. That resistance gives the nervous system a different kind of information. This is load, muscles working against something, and the brain responds to it very specifically. Number 3, rhythmic movement, organizing. When your child rocks or sways or bounces in a slow, repetitive pattern, their brain is doing something deliberate. It's reaching for a rhythm it can lock into. A predictable, repeating input gives the nervous system something to synchronize with. Predictability is calming because the brain no longer has to keep guessing what comes next. That rocking isn't the problem. It's the solution their body has found. The goal isn't to stop it. The goal is to recognize it as the brain's way of trying to bring order to a system that feels disordered. Once you begin recognizing the sequence your child's nervous system naturally follows, you can stop asking, "How do I stop this movement?" and start asking, "Where is my child's nervous system trying to go? What's it trying to do?" Sometimes it needs to complete. Sometimes it needs to organize. Sometimes it needs to settle. The movement isn't the goal. The movement is showing you what their body is asking for. By now, you've probably noticed that movement is only one clue your child's body gives you. Sometimes your child can appear wired, hyper, or clingy, or shut down, or recovering from a meltdown, or that magical state, regulated and calm. Each of those states benefits from a different response from you. That's exactly why I created my free guide. You'll find it linked below. Whether we're talking about behavior or movement, it's all information. The more we understand what the movement is trying to accomplish, the more likely we are to choose a response that genuinely helps. In the next video, we are going to look at something that often sits underneath all of this. Why do some autistic children become overwhelmed so easily?